Welcome. Thank you so much for joining me for this webinar. My name is Alanna Kaivalya. I'm the author of The Way of the Satisfied Woman, Reclaiming Feminine Power. And I'm incredibly grateful and so glad that you've decided to join me for this experience. This is a huge and very important topic, and we have so much to cover. And I have some incredible insights to share with you that I don't have any doubt are going to help make your life better and get you on a path to greater satisfaction. So let's jump right in. Welcome to the webinar. This is how to know whether to stay or to go. And I'm going to give you 3 keys to chart your path either into a healthier relationship or right out of a toxic relationship. And I guarantee you, this is on so many women's minds. So I can't be more happy and excited that you are here today joining me for this experience. Now, I have an inkling that if you signed up for this webinar, that you are in the right place and that this is material that will resonate deeply for you. But just to make sure, this webinar is for high-achieving, strong women. Look, I've got you. I understand what it's like. There is so much pressure for us to be happy, satisfied, perfect in our relationship, handling everything, and that actually makes it even more difficult for us to both recognize when we're in a toxic relationship, talk about it, and get out of it. So this webinar experience is absolutely for you. If you are in a relationship that feels draining, manipulative, or devaluing, and even so, you're not quite sure if it's bad enough to leave. Because I know you're strong, I know you're capable, and the world tells you you should be able to handle it, but I'm going to tell you something a little bit different today. This webinar is for you if you struggle with self-doubt, gaslighting, and financial control in either direction in your relationship. And if these things make leaving feel overwhelming, then you are absolutely in the right place. If you feel ashamed for staying in this relationship that doesn't serve you, and you fear what people will think if you admit what's really happening, then I've got your back. I've been there. I understand what that's like. It is so hard for us to talk about it, especially when we're saddled with the expectation that we're supposed to be able to do it all. If you're looking for a clear, structured plan to be able to recognize the problems in your relationship, reclaim your own power, and start to heal, then I'm going to give you exactly that today. And if you want to break free from the conditioning that tells women that their worth lies in sacrificing themselves for others, then I've got you. And I'm glad you're here. So what we'll cover today, it really makes sure to address all those issues I just mentioned. I'm going to talk about how you can stop questioning yourself and know for sure, without a shadow of a doubt, whether your relationship is having a deeply negative impact on you. Because what I want for you is not just to survive, but to thrive in all areas of your life, but especially in relationship. I'm going to help you identify the insidious abuse patterns that women are trained to overlook. We're literally indoctrinated into accepting bad behavior by men. So I'm going to help you start to uncover what some of those are today so that you can recognize them and keep your eyes open. I'll talk about the conditioning that makes us stay, even in relationships that are damaging and draining, and why we make excuses for men who take advantage of us, and why we fear abandonment if we leave. This is really built into the culture. It's not your fault, and I'm going to help you recognize it. I'm going to talk about what you stand to lose if you stay or if you don't shift these negative patterns. And I'm also going to share what you stand to gain if you leave or exit these negative patterns. I'm also going to give you a step-by-step process to reclaim your self-confidence, begin to heal, break free from these bad patterns, and probably most importantly, step into your fullness as a completely empowered feminine woman. So let me tell you a little bit about myself. I'm so grateful that you're here. No matter how you find me, no matter how you ended up on this webinar today, I have something really powerful and potent to share with you, and I'm really looking forward to it. So let me talk to you about how I got here, who I am. Once again, my name is Alanna Kaivalya, and I'm the author of The Way of the Satisfied Woman, Reclaiming Feminine Power. I'm a speaker, a thought leader, and I've been working in the field of women's empowerment and femininity for over 20 years. In fact, I have a doctoral degree in mythology and depth psychology, and I dedicated my life, my entire career, into helping women navigate the complexities of femininity in today's very challenging world. This world was not built for us, and I'm doing my best to help make it better. I've developed international training programs and spoken to audiences worldwide, inspiring countless women to embrace their authentic, feminine selves. And today, I'm going to tell you exactly how to live as an empowered feminine woman and to recognize what a healthy relationship looks like for you. And the reason I can do this is because I've been there. I've been in toxic relationships, yes, plural, and I know how to break free. Not only because I did it, but because I help women just like you do the same. Look, I stayed too long. I mean, I am also a high-achieving, powerful woman. I believe myself to be capable of anything, just like you do. Why couldn't I handle a relationship? Why couldn't I help get us through it? Why couldn't I love him enough to get him through his challenges? That was the kind of thinking I had and why I stayed too long. I started to question myself. Maybe I'm not good enough. Maybe I'm not doing it right. And I felt deeply ashamed. I was afraid to talk to my friends, my family, because from the outside, everything was supposed to look perfect. Everything was supposed to be perfect. And it just wasn't. And the deep shame of that prevented me from speaking up at all for years. I struggled to admit how bad things really were. I excused his bad actions. I talked about how it was always his job or the fact that he was unemployed or he had a rough childhood. I made all the excuses in the book to try and talk myself into the fact that actually maybe he wasn't that bad. And I was convinced that if I just loved him harder, that things would change. Now, I also really feared that if I left, that I'd be alone. Because society, our culture, teaches us as women that our value lies in how much we give ourselves away. And if I wasn't continuously giving of myself to someone else, then what value did I have? I would just be alone. I would be discarded and I would be unworthy and unlovable. But the truth is, in all of this, and what I finally came to realize, was that it wasn't my love that was lacking. It was his inability to love me properly in return. So, my friend, does this sound like you? Do you feel like you walk on eggshells with your partner? When he comes home, do you get that sense of panic in your chest? When you get a text and you haven't done something right, or you're worried if you said something wrong, do you feel stressed or those butterflies in your stomach? That's a state of dysregulation. It's a state of high stress, a state of hypervigilance, the kind of things that we have in PTSD. And if you're walking on eggshells, you're living in that state all the time. Have you been financially controlled? And in fact, my research shows that nowadays, it's women who are being financially dependent on even more so than men. That they rely on us, especially high-powered, high-achieving career women, they rely on us for our money. They manipulate us and our finances, and they even make us feel guilty about spending our own money. If that's you, then I'm glad you're here. Do you second guess your own feelings, your needs? Do you put them on the back burner? Do you second guess your decisions because of his reactions? Even if you know it's something you need or something that's right for you, Do you pretend like you don't because you're worried about how he'll respond? Have you tried to leave before, only to be guilt tripped into staying? Or love bombed, baby, I love you so much, I miss you, I'm so sorry. Or manipulated into staying. If that's the case, the truth is that he actually needs you more than you need him. And do you feel ashamed that someone so strong and capable, that's you, is stuck in this cycle? Like you can handle every other area of your life. Why can't you handle this? I know that shame. I understand it, and I've got you. Here's the truth about toxic relationships. It is not just you. You're not alone. You are not crazy. You're not overreacting, and you're not imagining things. The problem is in relationships like this kind of abuse, manipulation, gaslighting, it's subtle, it's insidious. It eats at us in small doses from the inside out. And because of our enculturation as women, we are so entrained and ingrained in trying to put on a brave face and smile for the world, even when we're hurting inside. But that hurt is real. That toxicity is real, and you do not need to live with it. Toxic partners use manipulation and gaslighting to make you question yourself. Now, I know one thing. If you're here on this webinar with me, I know that you're a smart lady. There is no reason for you to question yourself. I know you know who you are. And if you wonder about it, if he makes you wonder about it, we have a problem. But don't worry, I'm going to help you fix it. As women, you see, we are conditioned to tolerate mistreatment. Our entire culture mistreats women. It is a learned behavior on everyone's part. We are taught that our worth, our value, is in how much we give ourselves away and how much we can tolerate and how much pain we can endure. If we can't endure it, if we can't keep giving, well, then we're not valuable. We become discarded, and then we face abandonment. And that's so ingrained for all of us as women that it comes into play even in our relationships with the people who are supposed to love us. Look, you are allowed to leave, and you are not obligated to love him through it. I would say you're obligated to love you through it. So let me talk about the 3 biggest mistakes that women make when evaluating their relationship, because I've been there. I'm telling you, I know this from the inside out because I have done this myself. I have helped women through it. I know how it can be. I know how difficult it is. I know how hard it is to admit, especially as a high-achieving, high-powered, successful woman. You can't imagine that you're in this position, but you are. And it's so easy to get there, and it's not your fault. All right, so here's mistake number 1. And it comes from our big hearts. It comes from our desire to connect. It comes from our powerful feminine sense of empathy. We as feminine women rely on empathy and intuition, loving, big hearts, connection, and that is something that's often taken advantage of. So in our relationships, our first big mistake is believing that love can fix him, or that love can fix this, that we can just love him through it. We keep hoping that if we love him enough, if we support him enough, or if we prove ourselves enough, that he'll change. We excuse his behavior. We try to make it okay. We try to sweep it under the rug. We tell ourselves he's just struggling, or it's just a phase. We know that this is a problem because of how we feel, all right? As feminine women, we need to remain connected with our feelings. That is critical. As soon as we disconnect from that, as soon as we start to numb ourselves, Houston, we have a problem. So if we feel drained, if we're constantly giving but getting very little in return, if we're convinced we just have to keep trying harder that things will improve, then that's when we know we're making this particular mistake. Because here's the reality. Love doesn't heal someone who refuses to change. If he's comfortable with you doing all the work, with you putting in all the effort, with you trying this hard all the time, why would he try? If he doesn't want to actually step up and into the relationship, if he doesn't want to step into his own masculinity, then you staying and trying to fix him will only cost you your peace and your self-worth. One of the things I want to highlight for you right now is how important your peace is. If he brings chaos, warning, big red flag. Your peace is critical. All right, here's mistake number 2. Ignoring red flags that you have been conditioned to accept. I lovingly call this painting red flags green. And girl, I am a master. I have buckets of green paint in my past, and I just wanted so badly to believe that these men who may have looked good on paper were perfect for me. And it was just small little things here and there that I'd have to overlook in order to make it work. Now, here are some of these big red flags that we should never paint green. If he calls you too sensitive, if he says that you're too emotional, if he dismisses your concerns, warning. Okay, now what he's doing there is diminishing the power of your emotions. And as a feminine woman, your emotional depth is one of your superpowers. Look, a masculine man, a healthy masculine man, will not only tolerate your emotions, but honor them. He will cherish them. In the face of your emotions, a healthy masculine man will stand firm and let those emotions just break over him. He will listen to your emotions. He will be attuned to your emotions. He will respond to them. He will never diminish them or dismiss them. If your man gives you the silent treatment, that's a sign of emotional immaturity. He can't handle it. He doesn't know what to do. He doesn't know what to say. And it's a form of manipulation in order to make you feel bad and disconnected. Because again, another superpower of the feminine woman is her power of connection. And as soon as he goes silent, he disconnects. And that puts us in a state, again, of dysregulation. And when we're in a state of dysregulation, we can't make good decisions for ourselves. Again, that's one of the hallmarks of things like PTSD or anxiety. Those high stress levels, they dysregulate us. They turn our prefrontal cortexes off. We don't have the power and faculty of our good decision making, and we then disconnect from our own sense of intuition and emotions, which as feminine women, that's what keeps us safe. If he makes major decisions without you, if he controls money or isolates you, that's a huge problem. Because the healthy masculine man will always make decisions and behave with your highest good in mind. So if he's not making decisions with you, you know that there's unhealthy or distorted, toxic masculinity right here in front of you. So again, what you're going to feel when you're trying to paint red flags green is confused and like you're always the problem. Here's why confusion is an issue. Once again, remember, I told you, I know that you're a smart woman. I know you're capable. So if suddenly in your relationship you're confused and unsure about something, you're in that dysregulated state. You're in that gas-lit state, and you're painting red flags green. If you're unsure, if you're overreacting, and if you're afraid of speaking up, that's an issue. Our communication, again, as feminine women, is so important. Our ability to talk, to speak, to say what we need, to speak our feelings is critical. And the healthy masculine will listen. So here's the reality, and here's the thing I want to tell you that I see you, I recognize you, I honor you. Emotional abuse is not always obvious. Okay? It's not as fire and crazy and wild as we see it on TV or in movies. It doesn't always come with just, those horrible name-calling words. It's not always outbursts or yelling. Emotional abuse can be really subtle. It's slow. It's insidious. And it's designed to make you question yourself. Learning to recognize these patterns is one of the first steps we take in breaking free from them. All right, mistake number 3, believing it's your duty to stay. So remember, I'm an academic. I'm a Ph.D. I've done the research, and I have some powerful research about how women feel in relationship and what their motivations are. Did you know that 70% of women report that they believe that their relationship is definitely not normal, or that they're pretty sure it's not normal? 70% of women believe they're in some kind of toxic relationship pattern. That's a lot of women. That's a lot of women. And one of the reasons they stay in it is because women have hope. We have love, we have empathy, we have our big hearts, and we have so much hope that it will change. So we believe it's our duty to stay. And it looks like us telling ourselves that leaving would be selfish, but he needs us. We made a commitment. We just need to be more patient. We fear being alone, and we fear being judged or seen as a failure. We still live with a lot of some of the the old tropes that say, women are there to stand by your man. And if we leave our man, especially in a time of need, it's seen as our fault, our problem, and we just didn't do enough work. So if we feel trapped, if we feel guilty for even considering leaving, if we feel responsible for his well-being at the expense of our own, that's when we know there's toxicity in the relationship, because the healthy masculine, he's going to want to step up, protect, and provide for you, not the other way around. If you've stepped into the protector and provider role, if you're protecting him by staying, if you're providing him with emotional support, if you're providing him with financial support, and there's no reciprocity, then you're playing mommy. You're in your masculine, which for you is going to be so draining, so exhausting, while he's in his feminine, relaxing away and receiving all the goodness that you have to offer. Now, here's the reality. You are not obligated to suffer for the sake of love. Your worth is not tied to how much you endure. Choosing yourself is not selfish, it's necessary. And choosing the fullness of your feminine expression actually leaves you open to be cherished, loved, provided for, and protected by the healthy masculine. So here's what you stand to lose if things in your current situation stay the same. Number 1, your confidence in yourself. Every day you stay in the same situation, that confusing, dysregulated state, you will find yourself questioning your self-worth, your abilities, can I even do this, and your reality. The once strong, independent version of you feels more and more distant. Now, this is going to happen slowly. It's going to happen over time. You'll barely notice that it's happening. Your friends might start to notice. They might start to question. They might start to worry, but you'll be the last person to worry. By the time you finally notice something's wrong, you are way, way down the track. You're also going to lose your freedom. And girl, we have worked too hard to have the level of freedom that we do in this day and age. I don't want you losing any of it. The longer you remain in these patterns, the harder it becomes to start making decisions for yourself. When you're in that dysregulated state, remember, you don't have the faculty of decision making online. You have a huge difficulty speaking up for yourself, remembering who you were, owning your self-worth, speaking your needs. You've been so diminished and so depleted and so confused that it becomes almost impossible. Your autonomy diminishes as your partner's control subtly expands over your choices, your finances, your emotions, and your loving heart. You lose your dreams. You start to just let them drain away from you. You may realize that the goals and aspirations that you once had slip further and further away. And instead of growing into the person you envisioned, You find yourself adjusting, minimizing yourself to keep the peace, and you put their needs before your own. Because the reality is, in situations like this, your needs aren't even on their radar. You lose your ability to trust yourself, and this is so important for us as feminine women. We have to trust our intuition and our emotions because they do not come from a logical or rational place, but they are what fuel our power as women. And if we lose that trust in ourselves, we don't have the ability to rely on that power, on our own instincts. Gaslighting does this. Manipulation does this. It erodes our trust in ourselves. We begin to second guess our own thoughts, our feelings, our perceptions of our world and our reality. And we start to wonder if we're overreacting. We start to wonder if we are as crazy as they say we are. By the way, we're not. We're just in an incredibly toxic, dysregulated, abused, manipulated situation. So here's the choice, my friend. Staying in the same condition means continuing down this path where self-doubt, exhaustion, emotional depletion, the disconnection from your own feminine essence, they become a daily reality. But if we start to shift away from this situation, that is where transformation begins. And it's not just about walking away from what's harming you, it's about stepping toward the life and the fullness that you were always meant to live. What's possible here is that you get to reclaim your confidence. It is there. It didn't go anywhere. It's just been covered over by all the lies, the manipulation, the gaslighting, the distraught emotions, the diminished capacity. When you reclaim your confidence, you no longer question your worth. You know who you are. You remember who you are. You no longer question your choices. You no longer question your instincts. Instead, you trust yourself fully and you stand in your power. You regain your independence, meaning your dependence inward, not your aloneness, your dependence inward on who you are, who you know yourself to be. You regain independence and you make choices based on what you want, not what someone else allows. You make choices about your own ability to spend your money. You are free to travel and go where you want, and you live without the threat of manipulation, gaslighting, distortion, lies. You create a future, even a now, a present, of peace and joy. Remember how important peace is? If there's too much chaos, we become dysregulated. So you want to create peace and joy in your life, a life where your emotions, your dreams, and happiness are prioritized. No more putting yourself last. In fact, when you're in the right relationship, your healthy masculine partner will always put you first. And when you do this, when you step back into your feminine power, you will open yourself to real love, quality love, the kind that honors you, respects you, and I would say most importantly, cherishes you. The kind of love that allows you to be fully seen and fully valued. Leaving this toxic pattern, this toxic experience, it's not just about escape. It's really about stepping into the full and empowered life that you deserve. So here's what you gain when you leave these patterns. There's peace of mind. Remember, peace versus chaos. I want you to choose peace every time. There's no more walking on eggshells. You get to be yourself. You get to be free from harm in mind, body, and spirit. You are safe to be who you are. You wake up without anxiety. You don't have to anticipate his mood or his reactions. And your home feels like a place of comfort rather than a battlefield. When you do this, you'll feel relieved, emotionally lighter. No more exhausting mental gymnastics just to keep the peace. You'll have reclaimed energy. Your time, your money, your emotional space belong to you. So, what this looks like is there's no more wasting hours justifying yourself, over explaining, or managing his emotions or his reactions. Your money is yours to spend without scrutiny. This will make you feel empowered, probably again. You probably used to feel empowered. It'll make you feel empowered again. It'll make you feel in control and finally able to focus on your own growth, passions, and well-being. Because what financial control and empowerment does for the feminine woman is it sets us into a place of creativity and abundance. When we're under someone else's financial control, when we're under someone else's financial manipulation, then our own creativity and abundance completely shut off. It's more difficult for us to be successful. It's more difficult for us to be empowered, abundant, satisfied, all of that. It's like it has such a negative and catastrophic effect. We also get back to our true self-worth. We don't have to prove ourselves through self-sacrifice. In fact, I would argue that that is never a way to prove yourself at all. So you no longer feel the need to earn the love by tolerating mistreatment. You don't have to prove how much you love him or how worthy you are of his love. You set boundaries without guilt, and you walk away from relationships or situations that don't respect you. When you do this, you're going to feel confident, worthy, and self-assured, knowing that love is something that you receive, not something that you have to fight for. Now, I'm gonna stay here on this point for a moment because remember, I wrote this book, The Way of the Satisfied Woman, Reclaiming Feminine Power, and I talk a lot about femininity, and that's really the basis of my work. The feminine is receptive. We have been told a lie that our worth is in how much we give ourselves away. That is an absolute manipulation of the feminine. When the feminine gives itself away to this degree, it is drained, it is ravaged, it is depleted, it is exhausted, it is burnt out. If you feel any of those things, then you have been subject to that lie. When we're truly in our feminine, we receive. We receive the generosity of those around us, and it is through receiving that we feel empowered, that we access abundance, that we access creativity. That is what lights us up. So my friend, you need to be in a position to receive love, abundance, generosity, protection, providership. That needs to come in your direction. Also, when you leave, I know that this might sound scary now, especially if you're in the throes of a relationship, especially if you're wondering, oh my gosh, but I love him. I don't know if I'm ready to give up. I don't know if I'm ready to change. I don't know if I'm ready to challenge him or draw boundaries. I know, I get it. I've been there. I get it. I'm not going to force you to leave him. I just want you to understand some of the mechanisms that are occurring for you right now and the possibility of what happens if you start to shift those mechanisms. Because what happens when you shift those mechanisms is that you have the chance for real love. Love that comes to you. Love that is receptive. Love that allows you to maintain your femininity as a woman. And the love that you deserve really does come from loving yourself first, being able to choose yourself first. Because remember, your good, loving, masculine partner will also choose you first. You'll start to attract relationships or shift your current relationship based on mutual respect and care and the cherishing of you as the feminine partner. There won't be obligation, and there certainly won't be power imbalances. You'll find a partner who values you, who honors you for who you are, not for what you can give them. You'll feel safe. You'll feel cherished and deeply fulfilled knowing that you deserve love without suffering first. So if you want some of those changes, I'm going to give you right now 3 steps that you can take in order to start to reclaim your power in this way. In the relationship, outside of the relationship, these are things you do for you, okay? So step 1 is identify where you're carrying the burdens of the masculine, okay? Because there's masculinity, there's femininity. And for you as the feminine woman, the masculine burdens are not yours. Masculine burdens make us exhausted. They burn us out. They deplete us. They give us that idea that we have to keep doing, and giving ourselves away. So if you are stuck managing the household, making all the decisions, carrying the emotional labor of the relationship, then you are in the masculine role. You've taken on an energy that is not yours. And anytime we carry an energy of inauthenticity, it exhausts us. So right now, just take a moment and reflect on where you have had to fix or lead or carry the weight of the entire relationship alone. Whew. And I take a breath here because I have done this. I know what this is like. I know the heaviness of it. I know the burden of it. And I also know how loving and open-hearted we are in our desire to want to continue to connect and empathize with our partner. But it is heavy. This is not how healthy polarity works. We need two partners in a relationship who one maintains the feminine for the most part, the other maintains the masculine for the most part. And I promise you, again, this is my work of 20 years, when each partner settles into their primary polarity, there is attraction, there is growth, there is connection, there is unity, there is cherishing, there is respect. All of the things work. If you slip into the wrong polarity, if you start to mother him, if you wear the pants, if you're manning up in the relationship, we have a huge red flag. So you'll know that this is happening when you're exhausted, when resentment is building, when you're emotionally depleted. This is when you know that you're living out of alignment with your true feminine nature. Step number 2, in order to reclaim your power, not just in the relationship, but in your whole life, is to drop those heavy masculine burdens and reclaim your feminine, powerful boundaries. So the first thing I'm going to tell you is stop mothering him. His responsibilities are his, not yours. You do not need to pick up after him. You do not need to do his laundry. You do not need to pay his bills. You do not need to emotionally regulate him. You do not need to counsel him through things. You do not need to teach him. And in fact, I would go so far as to say that you don't need to help him. I remember when I was in the throes of my very, very toxic marriage, and trust me, that was not the only toxic relationship I've had in my lifetime. That was probably just the most profound one. The one that really kicked me out of this pattern and made me recognize how insidious it was. My therapist at the time, she said, Alanna, stop helping him. And it was just this sort of like carte blanche, bold statement. And I said, what do you mean stop? And she goes, stop helping him. And I said, well, then he won't be able to do this. He won't be able to do that. She goes, yep, exactly. So I'm going to tell you the same thing. Stop helping him. One of the things I write about in my book, The Way of the Satisfied Woman, is I give women, just like you, permission to say no. No is one of the most powerful feminine words on the planet. Oppositionally, guess what the most powerful masculine word is? Yes. He needs to be saying yes, and you need to say more no. And you do not need to justify yourself. You don't need to explain it. Just let your no be complete. Let it come from a place of your internal feminine power. When you say no, you protect this precious life force energy that is yours. And if he cherishes you, he will protect it too. And he will honor your no. Whether it's, no, I'm not going to get up and get a lack of sleep in order to take you to the airport in the morning. No, No, I won't be home to make you dinner tonight. No, I won't drive the kids to their 4th soccer practice of the week. Just own your no. If it helps protect your energy, the answer is no. All right, remove yourself from the cycle of overgiving and unmet expectations. So if you constantly give yourself away, if you constantly put your needs last, you are not in a relationship. You are in a sinking ship. Your energy is too valuable to be drained by someone who takes and gives nothing in return. It doesn't matter how much you love him. When he loves you, he'll protect your energy just as much as you do. And in fact, probably even more, really. Now, step 3 is to own your femininity and demand healthy masculine energy or walk away. So remember, I told you I wasn't going to tell you to walk away until you're ready, and you might not be ready. I get it. We might have to talk about it a little further. There may be some wiggle room here, but we cannot continue to paint red flags green, shove things under the rug, and pretend like this toxic patterning doesn't exist. What's going to be required is change. You may have a partner that is ready and willing to change, and you may not. And the only way you find out is if you stand in your power as a feminine woman. So you have to step back into your feminine power by allowing yourself to receive rather than constantly giving and proving your worth. As soon as you stop doing, as soon as you stop proving yourself, it opens the space. It creates a vacuum for hopefully your masculine man to step into. And if he doesn't, well, then you have a powerful answer. But you'll never know unless you reclaim your feminine power. If he doesn't rise into a healthy masculine role for you, strong, stable, protective, those are healthy masculine qualities, then you've got to decide if you're going to continue to shrink yourself to accommodate his weakness or man up and be the masculine in the relationship while he plays the feminine role. You got to know that in no way are you too much for the right man. The right masculine energy will honor you, cherish you, uplift you, and protect your femininity, not drain or devalue it. So these 3 steps that I've just given you are going to help shift your polarity back to the feminine, which is who you are, and remind you of your inner strength and put you on the path to real freedom. You are going to feel empowered. You'll know that you're supported, and you'll be ready to create the life you deserve because you have the energy to do it with a network of people and maybe even a new or reestablished relationship that truly understand and uplift you. So here's the bottom line. Toxic relationships don't change on their own, but we all control ourselves. You can change. So what this looks like is that you stay in a cycle of hope and disappointment. When you don't change things, you stay in a cycle of hope and disappointment, believing things will improve if you just try harder, if you just do more, if you man up a little more, if you become better, if you put on that masculine role. The manipulation, the gaslighting, the control will continue. And you convince yourself that leaving is too scary, it's too difficult, it's too uncertain. And that place of disempowerment, that is a diminished feminine state. You are doing yourself a disservice if you stay in a relationship like this and don't change. You're going to continue to feel exhausted. You're going to continue to feel mentally drained. You'll be trapped in a never-ending emotional roller coaster, and you may feel like you're losing yourself. Honestly, you may feel like you've already lost yourself. I'm sure that if you're here, you're questioning your worth and probably blaming yourself for why things aren't getting better. But remember, it's not just about, you changing. You both have to change. You have to do something different. Toxic partners do not change on their own, but you have the power to change. You have the power to break the cycle, to heal yourself and rebuild a life, whether it's with him or not, where you feel whole, valued, and in control. Your happiness and peace are worth more than any hamster wheel, false hope of change. With the right process, you can absolutely break free from the cycle. I've done it, and I've helped countless women do it too. This is going to help you to understand the toxic patterns that have diminished your powerful femininity, and instead you'll have a roadmap to begin to escape them. There will be no more feeling lost, no more hopelessness, no more questioning if you're making the right decision. You'll have your intuition, your energy, your full capacity and faculties back online. You'll have the clarity and the confidence in every step you take forward. You will feel empowered, self-assured, and no longer at the mercy of someone else's crappy behavior. You'll reclaim your ability to choose exactly what's right for you. The best news is that you don't have to do this alone. I know how hard it is to do it alone, especially for high-powered, high-achieving, successful women. We're used to doing everything alone. We're used to fixing everything. We're used to making our world look perfect to the outside, even when we are struggling and dying inside. The reality is there's tremendous amounts of shame in that, and that's going to dysregulate you even further. So what you need in this circumstance, if you're this woman, if you're just like I was, is expert guidance, a support system, people you can talk to, tools that ensure that you don't just leave, but that you heal, that you grow, and you thrive in your new version of life. There's no more suffering in silence. And you really should not try to figure it out all on your own. You do too much all on your own already. Instead, in this journey, I want you to feel supported, validated, and ready to create the life you deserve with the support you need and a network of people that truly understand and uplift you. So here's the reality of taking these steps alone, and I speak them out loud because I know how independent we are. These steps are going to make a huge difference in your everyday life. I know how difficult it can be to accomplish them. I've been there. If you try to do it alone, you're going to feel some resistance. You're going to convince yourself that, oh, things aren't that bad. I'm overreacting. And the conditioning, that patterning, you're so used to it that you're just going to keep staying small and tolerate the mistreatment because after a while, you stop knowing any better. It's likely that if you try to do this on your own, you're going to feel guilty. Setting boundaries, prioritizing yourself might feel uncomfortable. It might even feel selfish because you've been trained to put everyone else's needs first. If you're doing it on your own, fear will likely creep in. That taking even small steps toward independence will result in abandonment. Here's the truth. You don't have to do this alone, and I don't recommend it. With the right support, you can take these steps with confidence and clarity, without self-doubt, without second-guessing, and with the accountability to make sure that you own your feminine power and create the life of freedom and joy that you deserve. So I want you to hold this beautiful future vision with me. Imagine waking up in a home that is truly yours, that you feel safe in, that you are secure in, that you are in control of your own finances, you're free from manipulation, that you're building a life that lights you up, that creates abundance and joy for you, that is filled with love and peace and confidence. That's my vision for you. Hold that with me because I can help you personally through this. And in fact, I've set aside some time in the next 24 to 48 hours to speak just with you about all of this. I want to know exactly what you're going through. I want to hear the condition of your current relationship, where you'd like to be, and how I can help you get there. On this absolutely free discovery call, you and I are going to uncover the biggest obstacles that are currently keeping you stuck. And we'll create a clear plan to help you break free, shift those toxic patterns, start healing, and even get on the road to thriving. During our call, we'll create a rapport and a connection, and if it is a fit between you and I, we'll discuss how I can personally support you over the next 8 to 12 weeks in my coaching program. There's lots of options and opportunities, and it's through our discussion together that we'll find the right and best path forward for you, because you don't need to do it alone. So book your free clarity call now. And imagine waking up in 6 months feeling free, confident, and again, at peace, because you finally shifted those patterns that didn't serve you. You finally left a reality that didn't serve you. And you finally owned your femininity and your power and started marching toward a life that is truly yours. This is what I want for you. This is your chance to break free and reclaim your life. Let's do this together. Because it is together that I believe we have the best chance of doing this. And when we do it with each of ourselves individually, when I can do this with you, when you can set the bar for women around you, when you start to own positivity, love, cherishing, respect, and relationship, we help others around us do the same. Because I want this not just for us, not just for you and me, but for all the women out there. But let's start with you. Make sure you book your clarity call. Make sure you start on that first step towards freedom and peace for yourself. And now, it has been my great honor and pleasure to present this material to you tonight. I hope that it's given you something to think about. I hope that it's given you something to consider. And I hope that you're inspired to book that call with me, because I cannot wait to speak to you. Over the years, I have spoken with hundreds, thousands of women in relationship situations that you find yourself in right now, that I have found myself in right now, and it is not talked about. I mean, yes, sure, we talk a little bit about abuse here and there or manipulation, but so often, high-achieving, capable women, we just suffer in silence. And I don't want that for you. I don't want that for you. So book your free strategy call. I look forward to speaking with you. Now, during this time, I've had some questions come through, so I want to answer them, address them, and that button to get on the free call is live now. And while I have this webinar screen open, you can click that button. A new page will open so that you've got those booking links to pick the time that you have available for the call. Now, make sure that you click that button and open that page, because as soon as I close this webinar out, that link will be gone. So I want you to open that page now. Again, you won't lose your spot here. I'll still be here. It'll just open in a new window, and then you can book the call at your convenience as soon as we close out here. All right, so let me get to the questions. All right, first question is Maria. All right, Maria says, wow, this was incredibly eye-opening. I jumped on this webinar because I thought I might have some problems in my relationship, but now I know what I have been living with is toxic and unacceptable. But I do love him, and I'm afraid to leave. Can you help? Yes, Maria, I can. I know exactly your pain. I know that it is possible to love even the most toxic and abusive person. But it doesn't mean we need to live with that behavior. And I have coached women just like you through this exact experience, and I know that I can help you with this. So make sure you book your call. All right. Sage says, this was really intriguing. Thank you so much for the information. How long do I have to book the call? All right, Sage, you're welcome. I'm glad you were here. So I have set aside over the next about 1 or 2 days, I've cleared my schedule just for these discovery calls. So when you open up that booking link, you'll see some times available. Go ahead and choose one that's good for you. And you and I are going to spend about an hour on the phone, or not on Zoom, really, because I like to see you. I like to see your face, talking about what's going on with you and exactly how I can help. So there's only a couple of days open to book those calls. So make sure that you do that as soon as, right now you can click the button, but as soon as this webinar is over. All right. Celia says, how long have you been doing this work, and what is your book about? Okay, Celia, great question. I have been doing this work in this field, working with women for over 20 years. This is the book. Again, it's The Way of the Satisfied Woman, Reclaiming Feminine Power. And the work that I do in helping women recognize the toxicity really in all of their lives, but especially in their relationships, it is written in here, but I find it much easier and better to bring it to life through speaking one-on-one with you, through coaching programs, because women carry a lot of shame around this when we don't even know necessarily that we're being manipulated because it's so insidious in our culture. And when we have that impression that we're supposed to be everything and be perfect all the time, we often don't talk about it. And we don't talk about it to our friends or our family members. So it's so much easier to talk about it with a trusted and loving professional like myself, to just air it all out. There's no judgment in this space. I've talked to women just like you. I've been through things like this. I understand how it works. There's no judgment. There's only hope and tools and resources for you to start to reclaim your femininity, get back in touch with that connected, loving part of yourself, and eventually get to the place where you accept and receive love, whether it be from this partner because he steps up or a different one. We don't worry about that right now, but there is hope for you and for love and connection in your future. I promise. All right. One more. We got time for one more. All right, Jana, she says, all right, how do I book the call? I'm ready. All right, Jana, good question. So here, and I don't know if you're on mobile or desktop, the button will either be below or off to one side, but there is a button to book your strategy call or your discovery call with me. So make sure you click that now, again, because once this webinar is off, that button gets lost. So go ahead and click it, open up the new page, find a time that works for you. You and I will chat for about an hour. We can go through more of what comes on the webinar. Like, look, I gave you a lot of information during this time. I did. And if this was all you need and you can go off and do everything on your own, that's fine. But women thrive in connection. We thrive through communication. We learn about ourselves and our world when we are in collaboration, especially with other women. So while you can do everything by yourself, I don't think you need to anymore. We've been way too entrained with that horrible narrative that just does not serve us. I want you to have partnership in this. I want you to have a supportive person, a guide, to give you the tools through the things that you might not even be able to see because you're inside of it. When we're inside of a toxic relationship, a manipulative relationship, even with someone that we love or who loves us, we make excuses, we don't recognize it, we hide it, we shame it. You need somebody on the outside to help you really understand what's going on and help you break free, to help you reclaim your power. So let's do this together. Again, it has been my great honor and privilege to have you on this webinar. Thank you so much for joining me. I will look forward to speaking with you on our discovery call and finding out exactly how I can help and exactly how I can help make your life better in reclaiming your feminine power. It's a delight to be connected, and I will look forward to talking to you very soon.